Nova Peris and I stand before you, Christian and Jew, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, former Labor Senator, former Liberal Minister. But most importantly of all, we are both Australian, and we are both outraged by the firebombing of the Addas Synagogue here in Melbourne yesterday. Make no mistake, that was an act of anti-Semitism, that was an act of terrorism. And it was not an attack on one, it was an attack on all Australians. Because as a result of that terrorist attack yesterday, we are all less safe. Today, I penned an open letter to our Prime Minister. It was a call to action. Enough is enough. Because the terrorist attack at Addas Synagogue was just the latest in a long list of anti-Semitic attacks that has occurred on the Prime Minister's watch in our country since October the 7th last year. Earlier in the week, Nova, together with hundreds of others, were locked down in the Great Synagogue of Sydney as pro-Palestinian protesters outside made it unsafe to leave. Days before, cars were firebombed and torched in Woollahra in Sydney as property was defaced with anti-Semitic messages of hate. Jewish artists have been doxxed and cancelled and faced death threats. Businesses that have been owned by Jewish Australians have been targeted, boycotted and attacked. Every single day, Australian Jews are being intimidated and harassed on our streets, in their workplaces and on our campuses. Young Jewish Australians now feel unsafe to show and identify with their faith publicly. And Australian Holocaust survivors who have long been given a safe refuge in this country and a warm embrace are now openly talking about leaving this country. Prime Minister, how did you let it get to this? Where social cohesion in Australia has broken down, where the Australian Jewish community lives in fear, where anti-Semitism has become normalised. And when social cohesion breaks down, it's only a question of when another community, another minority group is targeted in the same way. Please, Prime Minister, see what is happening, understand what is happening, and act. You and your ministers need to step up, not step back from the challenges we face. You must protect our treasured values of tolerance, respect, and the freedom to live freely and practice freely people's faith and their traditions. Prime Minister, time is running out. We don't have months, we don't have years, we have got weeks, days to restore security and safety for the Australian Jewish community and for all Australians. To do otherwise would be a dereliction of your fundamental duty. Nova.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Josh. First, before I begin, I want to apologise to the Jewish community for what they've endured in this country for the past 13 months. As a principled woman, as an Aboriginal woman, First Nations woman, who have stood against all forms of discrimination in this country, I have stood with the Jewish community in this country for the past 13 to 14 months after the atrocities, what we saw on October 7. Josh and I did a documentary together where we saw the hatred against Jewish people on the 8th of October and the scenes there, and I said on that documentary that that was totally un-Australian, and the act on the 8th of October last year in the Sydney Opera House was an act upon all of Australia. You brought Australia into disrepute. Yesterday I was with hundreds of Jewish people and another collective group of Aboriginal people where we paid homage to the great William Cooper, who on the 6th of December 1938, 76 years ago, took a petition as a petition against the attacks of the Jewish people during Kristallnacht. And he took that to the German consulate here. And an Aboriginal man who was oppressed in his own country took it in petition for the Jewish people for how they were being treated. And we saw the attack on the synagogue yesterday, which is totally, totally deplorable. And in this country we have a constitution, Josh, which says that every Australian has the right to religious freedom. How dare anyone attack a place of worship in this country? The Jewish people for the past 100-odd years have done nothing but build this country up. Have we forgotten the 8,000 Jewish people that have fought for the freedoms that we all enjoy in this country now? The Jewish people have done nothing but contributed to this country in so many various forms, and I cannot stand the hatred against Jewish people in this country. So we stand here together as Australians, a former Liberal person, a former Labor senator, but we both stand here together united as Australians. The attacks on our war memorials is un-Australian. It is disgusting, and I call upon all Australians to start pushing back, because if you can attack one worship place here in Australia, what is next? Is a Catholic church going to be attacked? I'm so disgusted in how this country is being portrayed to the rest of the world, and I'm truly sorry as an Aboriginal woman, and it breaks my heart to see the Holocaust survivors' descendants who have said never again is never again. And we as a country and as a Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, you have a duty of care to keep all Australians safe. Is it okay to be a multicultural citizen, to be safe except if you're a Jewish person? Enough is enough. What we saw yesterday is absolutely disgusting, and I urge all Australians to stand up for the Jewish community, and if you are a Christian, you stand up for the man that we're all going to be celebrating Christmas. Jesus Christ was a Jewish man, his mother was a Jewish woman. You know, if you're a follower of the faith, but if you're a follower of humanity, we all need to stand together. You know, this country doesn't know war. The last time we had war was in February 1942. We have a war going on in another country, and the Jewish people are trying to save their citizens, and let's not forget that there are over 100 hostages that are still captive. You know, if that happened to any Australian citizen, we would expect the same, our government, to get our hostages back. And Jewish people have a right to be free from all forms of discrimination and to live free from any harm, and especially these beautiful young Jewish children who are harmed and cannot be proud citizens of this country and enjoy their faith. Prime Minister, please, you need to have social harmony in this country, and you need to bring about unity, and that's not about supporting one cohort of people and not supporting all Australians.
Thank you, Nova.